Creativity is a social experience. You're not creative alone.
Despite its struggles, ESG can overcome the criticism and help make companies more accountable towards all stakeholders.
Today we're going to talk about things like trust and teams,
Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrencies.
Hi, and welcome to this masterclass. I'm Gachoucha. I'm the academic director of the marketing master's degree here at HEC Paris. I will be introducing my dear friend Jordan. So Jordan, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and why you're here?
So, hi everybody, my name is Jordan Chenevier. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called the Bulldozer, and we help companies with all their growth strategy. So we help them build and run their growth strategy. We, of course, work with companies doing sales-led workflows, but today the topic is about product-led growth. And so we also help companies with these topics, and so that's why I'm here. And I'm also the co-author of a book called How Startups and Unicorns Are Revolutionizing Marketing. And one of the chapter is also about product-led growth. And so, yeah, I'm really happy to be here with you.
Thank you very much, Jordan. So, as you can see, I invited Jordan. It's kind of a one of a kind type of masterclass. It's the first time that we actually mix a practitioner and an academic to talk about the topic. So here at HEC, for the last 5 years, let's say, we discovered and we envisioned with companies, clients, and students that something is lacking on the market that is working on product-led in a tech way, product-led management, and product-led growth. So today's masterclass is about understanding how a product-driven mindset is shifting marketing and marketing traditions, the way we do marketing, and more generally speaking, the way we build business models and the way we develop products. And so across this masterclass with Jordan, we are going to have a discussion on, okay, what it is like to do product management, what is product-led growth, how is marketing impacted with this type of mindset, and so on and so forth. And so maybe I'll start with, okay, what is, who's the target for that type of masterclass? Why is it interesting? For whom is it interesting? So first, for marketers, CMOs, marketing teams who are in the process of transitioning the function, seeing that data, AI, product-led growth are actually impacting the way they do their job on the everyday basis. The second type of audience could be business people, owners of startups, owners of businesses, general managers who are actually embarked onto that type of transitions as well. People who work in marketing teams or sales teams who are also working on how can we better work together. People who want to reskill or understand how the function, the marketing function is moving forward. And of course, pre-experienced students, as we are going to launch next September, a new product track, product management and product marketing track in the master's degree in marketing. So without further ado, why don't we start, Jordan, with explaining the audience why it's interesting to have a product mindset and why product-led growth is so important today when it comes to doing marketing and strategy.
So, a few things I see in the market today is that, if I take the macro element of the market, you know, especially in the startup world, financing is getting harder and harder. And so basically, you know, a few years back, you could just add salespeople into the team and get some more growth. But today, because the market is shifting towards this profitability mindset, you need to really have a new sense of how can we generate a better profitability in my company. And so having sales people, even if you just want to try the product, today, it's kind of expensive. And so a lot of companies have this, economic equation, I would say, that is, it's getting harder and harder to hire salespeople to do, onboarding users and having the discussion with the users, etc. So this is like the first basics of why companies are getting more and more interested in product-led growth and motions. But I would say in in terms of marketing, there is one big thing as well, is that a lot of people, they don't like to talk about to salespeople. And so they want to have, you know, this freedom of trying the product and getting the first experience themselves, etc. And so inside the companies, what companies start to realize is that having a product-led growth and having this product mindset is really something that helps in terms of customer centricity, customer experience, because you can really have a sense of the product yourself. So you just go to the website and you try that for yourself. And so having the mindset shifting from, okay, how do we close more and more people, to how can we make sure that people have a better user experience and can get a sense of the product themselves, etc. I think it's something that everybody realizes it's way better. And getting back to kind of the economic equation, one thing also to realize is that the valuation of the company, when there is a product, when there is the product motion, is better actually, because in terms of cost it's more efficient, in terms of, again, customer experience is more efficient. So it also helps the valuation of the company. So when you work within a company, you help the value of the company and you also help the value of the product for your customer by having this type of mindset.
Okay, so long story short, it's always about ROI at some point.
Sure.
Sadly or not sadly. The question of the product-led mindset is basically that you put back the product at the core of the activation, acquisition, activation, and retention process.
Yeah.
And so how is it going to change the way we do marketing?
Yeah, so usually, you know, and that's something that for me I'm quite sad about, is the fact that usually marketing people are always seen as the people working on awareness and acquisition, and that's it. And having this product vision, having the product at the center of, as you mentioned, acquisition, activation, etc., also helps the marketing team and the whole company realize that you can have an impact directly on the revenue, the activation, the retention, etc. And so for me, it's really empowering the marketing team and the marketers inside the company to have this kind of vision and to develop this kind of skills. And so what I see inside the companies I work with is that marketing people now, they get closer to the other team as well. So before, you know, you had these conflicts of the marketing team on one side, the product team on the other side, and then the sales team. And today everybody has to work kind of the same way to identify, okay, this is this is where we need to work on the product. This is where we need to work on the sales. And so having, you know, this collaboration inside the team is something that is really precious now inside the company. And so that's why I think that's also one of the reasons it's really important to have this motion internally. Yeah,
it's interesting that you mentioned that, because from an education perspective, what I see with the students, the participants in MBAs, executive MBAs, and the clients we have is that basically now campaigns are shifting from spending money to how can we have a product that is as self-serve as possible. Yep. And so you were mentioning people want products that could sell by themselves.
Yep.
At some point when the product is a little bit too complex, you need sales teams. And so
sure.
we're progressively moving towards some new types of models like product-led sales. So we have product-led growth and product-led sales.
Totally.
And so this is reshifting the way marketing and sales are working together, and more generally speaking, how the product developers, so the devs, the UX, etc., the marketers, the product managers, and the sales are working together. And so I cannot mention some examples right now because they are quite confidential, and it's actually, you know, the transformation is highly strategic in companies when it comes to reshuffling the marketing and product function. Yeah. But what I saw in many companies is that even product-driven companies like tangible products, not only tech and SaaS, they are reshuffling the teams to build what they call growth pods. So teams that are set up to provide a unit of experience that is successful and that is going to basically help scale as much as possible the value you create for the company, and at the same time reduce the marketing spending and the sales spending. And so it's about what you do on an everyday basis, by the way, allocating the right spendings at the right time and focusing on the product. And so what's interesting, and that's a question I would have for you, we are going back to be product driven, but at the same time we need to be customer centric. So how do we do it? How do we do that, and how do you help your clients do that?
Yeah, so actually this is the main challenge, is that of course what you want is, because there is the logics of unit economics, etc., and so basically business people, and because again the whole market now, you can access fundings the same way you could do like a few years ago, etc. People are driven by this product-led approach, but then they start realizing that okay, salespeople, it can be costly. Sometimes some people, they don't like to talk about salespeople, but having someone to talk to, ask questions, etc., it's something that is a really good experience for the users and for the future clients and prospects, etc. And so now we need to find the right balance between letting people do their own experience and the self-serving approach you were mentioning, but also keeping this kind of conversations flowing with the customer. And so this is why today you were mentioning, okay, there is the product-led growth and there is also the product-led sales. And so one key challenge now for companies is to identify events or, events inside of the product where you get a sense of, okay, if my user is doing this, it means they might want to talk to someone or they need help. And so this is when getting back to the human connection is really important. And so you were mentioning the CSM, so customer success managers, they're really involved in this type of things. So yeah, I think, again, customer centricity, customer experience, and so you need to find the right balance between having these human connections, but not having, this kind of a salesy, pushy approach. So yeah.
And so linked to that, so you mentioned customer success. That's a function that is more and more rising in companies, and that's really important because you have the marketers on the one hand, you have the products on the other hand, you have sales on the other hand, and so the customer success is probably here to smooth things out at each single step of the product. The success of a product and you being in growth and helping your clients grow and transition. I remember you mentioned a couple of times when we were working together the idea of time to value and client activation, which to me is basically how you make sure that the client is going to get the value of the product you're developing.
Exactly, yeah.
And the question is, how fast can you be and how relevant can you be? So can you tell us more about this and maybe share some examples?
Yeah, so completely agree. And I think this is something that marketers and companies in general, they don't work enough on this topic. It's in terms of growth, we call this the activation. So we activate the user or we activate the client. It means how can we make sure that they get the value of the product as fast as possible. And so, I take the example of e-commerce because everybody has, I think, already bought a product online and so knows the experience of buying a product online. But so as a company, for example, if you have an e-commerce website, your obsession usually is how do we make sure that people buy the product. But actually, when the people get the value of your product, it's not when they buy the product, it's when they receive the product and try the product. And so how do you make sure that from the time they bought the product to the time they receive and try the product, you have the fastest experience as possible. And so how do you make sure that even after buying the product, they have like a really good experience? So this is like a real challenge. And for me, not enough companies are working on this type of challenges. Now, in terms of examples of companies really working on this, I could say, for example, in France, we have a company called Doctolib. And so I can tell you that, for example, one of the main challenges for Doctolib is how do we make sure that doctors, they really experience the value of the product? And so how can they really get the sense of we help them do their best job on a day-to-day basis. And so this is why, you know, they're really working closely on this. And so a few levers, I would say two main levers. One is having this agile methodology where you always try new things on a daily basis. In terms of products, it's really hard, but let's say on a weekly basis, monthly basis with the team. So you try new things, you try new features, you try new experiences for people. I would say this is the first one. And the second thing is, and it can be counterintuitive, is how do you make sure that you remove things that are not useful for the customer experience? And so a lot of people, they don't know, but Instagram, for example, when you think about Instagram, you think about a really simple product. But actually, the product, even if it seems really simple, is really complicated. And so inside of the Instagram company, they have 5 people working on a day-to-day basis to remove features. Like, this is their role. The role is to remove features. And so I think in terms of, again, customer experience and how do we make sure that we improve on a daily basis, having this kind of thoughts, like what can we remove, is something that is usually forgotten by a lot of people, but that can drive a lot of success and engagement from your users and your clients.
Yeah. And so that leads us to something that has impacted CMOs already quite a lot, that is basically data and AI.
Yeah.
So what we see having CMOs on campus or general managers on campus, what we see is that basically the marketing function is more and more involved into the digital transition, the AI-driven transition. That data becomes more and more important when it comes to all types of marketing development or activations. And so some companies now are figuring out how to build those teams that are growth pods. And by doing this, obviously, you also have products that are developed backed by data, which makes product development and marketing activation way more transparent to the whole company.
Yeah.
And also more traceable when it comes to linking the spendings and the work performed to return on advertising and spending or return on investment. And so this can literally have huge impacts in the organization. So I have a couple of examples in mind that marketing functions are like collapsed sometimes, and people are required to share and report what they're doing on an everyday basis, which also has an impact on IT, because then you can link the power of IT to the power of business. So I heard a couple of, I wouldn't say terrific stories, but stories that can actually show how people are impacted, and sometimes in a scary way, by the productization, so to say, of the business and specifically the marketing function. And so I was wondering, is this something you have seen, and how do you respond to that?
Yeah, so interesting point. I think there is a lot of FOMO around AI, and especially for marketing teams, because now, especially with generative AI, you know, a lot of marketers, they think, and especially content managers and copywriters, etc., you know, they feel that by putting AI everywhere, their job is kind of useless. For me, and so, again, there is a lot of FOMO inside of companies regarding this. What I see is that now we've got, let's say, 2 years of experience with AI. And so for the past 12 months, I've seen kind of a shift where companies start to realize where AI is actually useful and can really impact the job of people, and where it was kind of a, you know, a thing that it was in their mind, but actually the impact is not that good. And so today, I feel regarding AI, the key element, and this is something not directly related to products, it's more related to marketing actually, it's the subject of brand. Because if what you write can be written by an AI, it means you kind of lack of a tone of voice and you like this type of thing. And so as a marketer, I'm actually quite happy to think that tomorrow, all the different companies will have to do this work of finding the right positioning, finding the right tone of voice, finding the right user experience, etc. Because at the end of the day, this is what makes a company really valuable for the customer, etc. So I think on my side, even if I work with a lot of tech companies and they all invest a lot of money and a lot of time in AI, I see it's kind of cooling, you know, this kind of FOMO, and I see it kind of in a good way. I think now it's shifting towards kind of a really valuable thing.
And what about the restructuring of teams around the product?
Restructuring the teams, there is a lot to say, actually.
I know.
For me today, one thing is AI can help you, for example, as a non-technical person, become a technical person. And so for me, it kind of helps for the companies and the collaboration to speak the same kind of language. Because tomorrow, if you want to try something that is usually something technical to do, and usually, you know, you go to your product team and you ask, okay, can you put this in the roadmap, and then the developers team, etc. Tomorrow, you'll have the power to try things for yourself, and so it will create collaboration because you won't have to shout to the product team every day, I need this by now, I need this by now. You will be able to do it for yourself. And so in terms of collaboration around the product, I think AI is a really good thing. And now you have a lot of tools helping for productivity. You have a lot of tools helping for generation of content and code. Now a lot of companies do code. So yeah, I think it also helps smoothen the relationships inside the companies.
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting. And you know, so my job is to conceptualize and to think what you guys work on, and we work together. So you know how I would tend to think. It makes me think that since there's no code now, since that you can be tech without being tech, you just need to have a mindset. So how does it work basically? We have predictive AI, so the data we gather. And that's a big thing. And that's a big thing. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. And then
yeah, because a lot of marketers, you know, like data is a big part of the job of the marketers, but it seems like you just watch dashboards and reportings, etc. But it's actually really hard, you know, to get the data, to predict the performance, to make your analysis. Sometimes you have a lot of biases, of course, because we're all humans. And so having the AI to do this kind of job, it helps on a daily basis companies to make sure that they have the right level of information, that they are not subject to biases, etc. So yeah, for the prediction, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and so and it's interesting to think product management and product marketing management with this perspective of AI, different types of AI. So predictive basically, that's what you were mentioning in terms of features. Predictive AI is basically telling us how we can improve the products, how we can improve the campaigns. Then we have prescriptive AI when we're more advanced. So the data we have already and the past data will help us prescribe some elements. So for example, prescribe some types of campaigns to segments we didn't address so far, or doing segmenting your CRM database in another way, or adapting the tools, I don't know, with Salesforce, adapting the tools to how people use the tools in B2B. So that's fascinating, and to me it's actually the part of AI that's probably the most useful right now. And so we have added a complex layer of generative AI and adaptive AI, and what I see here is that generative AI is just in a sense a tool that is leveraging predictive and prescriptive AI to generate content, newsletters, videos, whatnot, campaigns, helping us generate content. And what's really interesting now is adaptive AI, that is AI that self-learns and self-teaches how to segment, how to do campaigns better, so they self-adapt. And this adaptability, I think, is going to really impact the way we develop products, but not only in tech, could also be how we develop products in fast-moving consumer goods or even luxury.
Yeah, sure. And one thing is that, for me, AI, if we leverage prescriptive AI and etc., at the end of the day, what we want as a company is to really push for the most personalized experience. And before AI, it was really, really hard to personalize the experience for everybody. And I think this is one of the main topic related to AI is how can we leverage this technology to really make sure that your prospect, your client has a really personalized experience. And so in terms of value for the customer, I think it's a really big thing.
And bouncing on this, like personalization is key today in business models. And what is really interesting in this is that you can develop products that are scalable on the one hand, and so that at some point can drive and leverage financial value and sustainability, and at the same time, one-on-one value for the clients,
exactly.
Whether in B2C or even better in B2B. And so the way product development and product marketing will be leveraged now will basically help companies improve their business models and also improve the way they generate revenue. And so that leads us, and maybe you have some elements to share about this, about how they generate revenue, their profit equations, and how they price the products. Another one that's tacky.
It's another big topic. I don't have the right answer, and the reason I don't have the right answer is because I see that this is one of the main challenges that the market is facing right now. And so a lot of companies are trying a lot of things, and they haven't found the right equation. And so I see a lot of companies now they think they found the right way, but after testing new things, they identify, no, we are not yet there, you know? And so it's a really cool topic to address, but it's also really important to have in mind that this equation has not been completely found, and that's actually one of the big challenges that companies are, and my customers right now, they're all facing this kind of challenges, actually.
Okay. And so I'd be interested to know the hypothesis you're testing right now. That's even though they don't work or it's not the right balance.
Well, you know, it's basically, if you go to the way you price products, you have like some basic models, and these basic models is like you have a flat fee, or you have like a usage-based fee, or you have a seat-based fee, etc., etc. But with AI, one thing that is really, really interesting is that now you can start having companies price per output or per result. And so you promise a result to someone, and before you know, making sure that your customer gets the results that you sold is really hard to measure. But right now, thanks to AI, companies, they start to really measure the fact that you, as a customer, you actually got the result you wanted. And so basically, I can price my product based on the number of results you get, etc., where before it was completely impossible, you know. And so, and it's especially true in B2B. And so now I see a lot of companies testing these kind of things, you know, like how can we make sure that we promise that our customer will get these results, and thanks to AI, we'll have the proof that they got the results, and so we will price based on this. And so it's a complete alignment of interest between me as a company and you as a customer. And so this is where companies are really testing things now.
Oh, nice. So it means basically you promise your client that they're going to do, let's say, plus 5% in market shares.
Exactly.
And so that's how you're going to price your product based on the results attained or not.
Exactly. You have a price per % of market share, incremented market share that they got. And so basically, if I sell you like, hey, if you get 0% market share more, you don't have to pay. Well, you sold me, you know, like it's the proof that you're confident about your product and that your product does what you're telling me it does, you know. And so, yeah, I see a lot of companies now are shifting towards this kind of business models, and but it's a big challenge.
Okay, so if I try and sum it up, basically, why is product-led growth and having a product mindset so interesting, and why are companies? You told me basically all types of companies, whether it's startups, techs, e-commerce, and all types of companies now. Why are they like jumping on the bandwagon of product-led growth? It's because we put the product back at the core of the whole customer journey, from acquisition to activation to retention. that product-led growth means that you try and align with the market as much as possible in a very one-on-one situation, trying to personalize as much as possible with the clients, whether it's B2B or B2C. We get a lot of data. AI is helping to adapt more and more and to generate better content and to prescribe better solutions. And also, it allows basically the product companies to serve offers that align specifically with what customers want, and that can actually write some a tacit agreement, or even not tacit, but an objective agreement that we're going to help your client get the result you want, for example, improve your market shares. And that's how you're going to, as a product offer, build your revenue and your pricing.
Yeah, and one thing I like to mention inside of companies where I see conflicts between marketing team and product team is that if we go back to the most like a marketing 101, product is actually one of the 4P of marketing, Yeah. And so and so basically inside of companies you have marketing teams not working for the product. And so now getting people to work on this type of product-led growth approach is getting back to the basics of marketing, basically. So, yeah.
True, and I like it. So that's a very good transition. You see a lot of companies. You see small ones, big ones. You see ones that are starting up, those that are scaling up. You have now lots of clients, very well known on the market in Europe, and hopefully for you guys later on internationally. So now the question I have as a prof is, how can we actually improve the way we educate talents? What are the type of new talents that we need to thrive in a product-driven mindset and in a product-driven company?
Well, first is getting back to the product vision and the product mindset. We spoke a lot about the product mindset, etc. So for me, the main thing in terms of talent and skills is, number one, you need to have this product vision and product mindset. And because now, again, a lot of things are automated, or you have a lot of people inside the companies, etc. The key, again, is how do you provide the best user experience? How do you provide the best personalized experience? And so at the core of your skills is to really work on user research, getting to talk with your users, with your clients, etc. And so for me, a few decades back, when you were doing marketing, you were doing a lot of user research, etc. And now, because digitally you can have really fast results, I think people forgot this part of their job. And now they're getting back to this again. And so I think, again, as marketing people, if you start working with product-led companies, you will have to, again, embody this type of skills again that a lot of people forgot that it was part of their job,
So I really like what you're saying, because you know what, when I said, product mindset, product-led growth, this is something that marketing should embark on. Most of the remarks I had was basically HEC is not tech, you guys don't do tech.
Yeah.
And I'm like, actually, this is not the point. The point is that a product is anchored in the market with user research, as you said.
With real people.
Real
really
people,
human.
exactly. The product is part of the 4 Ps. Product development is usually our job, and we forgot about this because of digital. It's our job as well to position. It's our job to market. It's our job to understand how to generate value with products. And so what would make a difference actually is that we have people who understand the technicalities of the products, but who are willing to break the silos in companies, work between teams, design growth pods, and basically work with the sales team and work with all the other teams that concur and that contribute to building great products that are self-serve. And that's it. And so the good news for us is that in the marketing master's degree, for example, this is what we're going to do with the new product track. And I'm very happy that you're going to be a part of the crew. We're going to help strategic marketing students get educated on how to build products that will self-sell as much as possible, how to sell those products, and how to make sure to find the product market fit and the time to value as fast as possible, because at the end of the day, that's the recipe.
Sure.
And so maybe to finish with this masterclass, why is it interesting and why is it important and where did we start from? We started from before we had a lot of money, and because we had a lot of money from VCs, investors, etc., it was easy to do marketing with spendings. Today it's not the case anymore, and we're actually going back to our basics as marketers, how to build products that align with our markets and that are good products. And you know, I had a prof when I was younger who said a good product would eventually sell by itself, and I do believe that we go back to that. And with this product mindset, product-led mindset, product-led growth mindset, it's actually us marketers who can actually go back to our roots and what we are capable of doing. Voilà, and so Jordan, I'm so happy that you came with us to share what you see on an everyday basis as a practitioner, and to confirm that we need to transition the marketing functions and to accompany all our participants at HEC to a new type of marketing that's actually not so new. It's just more data-driven and helped by AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gachoucha.
It was a pleasure.
Creativity is a social experience. You're not creative alone.
Despite its struggles, ESG can overcome the criticism and help make companies more accountable towards all stakeholders.
Today we're going to talk about things like trust and teams,
Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrencies,